I was hired in 1980, so I wasn't there at Eakin Avenue, but I heard a lot about it through Thelma Bertrand, our executive director at the time. She would always tell stories. She would give so many good stories, and she told a lot of jokes. She was a very funny lady and fun to be around, but very businesslike, and always got what she wanted. But through kindness, I always loved to hear it about how she started at the Eakin Avenue Recreation Center, and they were in a storage room, and she put up chicken wire and cloth to make space for offices. So they would have room, and it would look like a real office. There were 6 sites. Again, I came in a little bit later, so I didn't get to experience the opening of those sites, but we had them in the high-rise apartment buildings. Some of the churches would host the agency, and again, it was donated space. A lot of times they would even donate the utilities, and we would just bring staff in. A lot of times the churches would even provide the volunteers to serve the meals. So it was a wonderful time in the agency in its infancy to start the meal site. The agency started to hit the ground running. We would go out and go to churches, go to senior centers, go to the local newspaper, the media, just to get the word out that what we were doing and what we were providing in the area. So word of mouth was probably the biggest thing, and getting out there in person, telling people what you were doing. There's been floods, ice storms, wind storms, tornadoes, you name it. There's been a lot of things happen over the years, and Lifespan Resources has always been on the front lines, getting out there to help our people. We had a program, in place that who was to call who had to call the clients, who had to check on their medical needs, how are we going to get them to dialysis, how are we going to get them emergency meals, and we always had these mitigation plans in place should an emergency occur. I particularly, we worked one time during a flood in Utica, Indiana, and our staff was helping staff the FEMA emergency center right in the flood zone, or just out of the flood zone. But another thing that I really was proud to work on was the tornadoes that started in March of, I think, 2012. Hit Henryville and Clark County pretty hard. I had the privilege of serving on the March to Recovery Committee. I was secretary of that committee and went to every meeting. We started out in Henryville. I went to Ground Zero, and it was devastating, to say the least, what I saw. And to see that over the course of the next 2 years, all the funding coming in, all of the volunteers and churches and entities coming together to help rebuild and regrow that area. It was just a wonderful experience. And so I think Lifespan Resources is very supportive and very caring in that area, that we're going to make sure our clients and our community is okay. During the pandemic, the agency was essential in getting PPE to people. We doubled our meals, providing meals to people at home because our congregate sites were closed. We kept our transportation going the entire time so people could get to their medical appointments and do what they had to do. We would add equipment and masks. Our drivers would mask. We'd sanitize the vehicles. We put up partitions. We would just take one person at a time or a caregiver with them to get them to appointments, just to make sure everyone was safe. And the agency even provided toilet paper to our homebound participants. When they received their meal daily, or weekly, they would get toilet paper, which was in high demand and hard to find. Lifespan Resources is always ready, no matter what comes before us, what happens, what's going to happen. We will be ready, and we will jump in with both feet, and we will do what is necessary to provide support for our community and our senior citizens, our clients.